me if I, stumble a little bit.
All right. So we are going to go live. Let me see where we at here. Go live. Yes. All right. So on my mark, on three, two, one. Whenever you're ready.
Hello, welcome to BLN Live. My name is Dominique Doyle. I am a professional makeup artist here in Atlanta, and today we have an amazing, just fun topic to talk about. And before we get into the topic, I want to go ahead and introduce our guests. We have the lovely, talented, Emmy award-winning makeup artist Toni Acey in the house. She's gonna join us in this discussion. She's also the department head of Black Girls Rock. If you know that, then you know everybody's looking beautiful, and also the key makeup artist for Lauren Lake Fraternity Court, Toni Acey. And she's definitely someone that I looked up to when I first got started in this makeup game. So I'm so happy to be here, just having this discussion with her. And then we have the talented Renee Hamilton. She is a licensed esthetician and also a body painting artist, correct? But not only body painting artist, because I went to your IG and I saw that you like paint more than the bodies. So beautiful, beautiful artist. And we're all going to be talking about something that is super popular now, permanent makeup. So before we get into that really quickly, can you guys just tell me, like, first of all, do you have any permanent makeup? And if you do, what is it?
And who are you addressing? Who do you want to start?
Oh, you know what? Let's start with you, Miss Toni.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me today. And do I have any permanent makeup myself? No. Would I ever get any? Possibly. If I did, that would probably be my brows. That's about the only thing that I would consider doing. Other than that, not a fan.
No problem, no problem. To each his own, to each his own. And you have beautiful brows, by the way.
Thank you.
And Miss Renee, what about you?
Awesome. Well, first, thanks. Hi, and thanks, beautiful people. It's so awesome to be able to share this sacred space with you. I love that question. If you asked me about a year ago, the answer would be no. However, I was tempted and I did try and explore ombre brows. So I do have the semi-permanent ombre brows on now. As I'm a makeup artist myself and enjoy sculpting the brows, sometimes I accentuate the arch a little bit, but I like doing my own makeup. It's a beauty ritual to me and for me. But right now, and probably the only thing I ever will do are the ombre brows. Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Since you got your brows done and you are an artist yourself, did you go in there with a picture of what you wanted your brows to look like? And how, like, what was it like trusting another artist to provide that for you?
Oh, I love this question. So, first of all, the young lady I went to in Northern California, she is also a licensed esthetician. With the utmost respect, I could only go to someone who was licensed to touch the skin and be responsible for my face in that moment. So, I followed her for years for her makeup artistry, and I love how talented she is with doing normal makeup alone. So, when I learned that she's moved into the permanent makeup, I was comfortable trust in her because I knew she's a professional and I saw her work. And also, I knew I wanted my brows to be similar to how I would do them. I didn't want a different
Mhm.
design or somebody else art on my face. I pretty much trusted someone to replicate what I would do daily, but now I don't have to give thought to it because they're semi permanent.
Nice. Well, they look gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
mean, I
love
love the ombre because there are different types of the permanent or semi-permanent brows, right? And my favorite is the ombre where it does go from light to dark because to me that is what a natural brow does for most people. But then there's also, creating the hair strokes in different positions, which I think that's amazing as well. And then I see the ones. Let's talk about the bad jobs first, right? So what about the block brows? Like, do you ladies see that? And what is when you first see someone with a block brow and it's permanent makeup? Like, what is going through your head at this point?
I want to
Whoever
give
wants to
that
go first.
person a hug. I'll just say, I want to give the person a hug. because they deserve love and they
Yes.
deserve it before they got their brows done. I think that some people may not know how they want it to look, so they trust someone who does them.
Mm.
And I think if people take time to explore and look at different designs, they will realize if it naturally fades in, it excuse me, it kind of looks like how their natural brows would, but it's accentuated. But if
Yeah.
all you see is an example of block brows, you think that's what it is, and then you go for it. But it makes me want to give them a hug and let them know they deserve better.
My thing is, I
Yeah.
just say, don't let anybody look bad think about life. you know, because they can't be trusted. But in
No,
all
no, they can't
seriousness,
be trusted. There's some truth to that. True, it might be.
I just feel like, that is one of my concerns I have more so with the internet.
Yeah. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, you're frozen.
People follow
Or was it just?
trends. And are
Uh
we here?
oh, just a little technical. Okay, we good. We're good now.
Okay.
Okay, so that you
I
said
think
about the
that,
internet and following trends.
yeah, I think that's the bigger problem is the fact that everyone has accessibility to follow people. So they, before, when I got into the game of makeup artistry, um, you had very few people that you could look up to and admire and see their work out there, right? Because we didn't have
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have all these
Mm-hmm.
things. We didn't have
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, so there weren't all these tutorials out here. So the great thing to me about makeup was the mystery behind it. It was like, how did they do that? Now everyone can see everything. They can see the step by step on how these things are created. And the problem
Yep.
with that is people think that they can go and duplicate it and replicate it just by watching. And that's not always the case. They're doing their version of that, and it's like, ooh, that's not quite. You missed the mark just a little. Take an actual class, Sometimes the hands-on is the best, So we've gotten away from the hands-on tutorial and moved into the YouTube tutorials and the Instagram tutorials and TikTok tutorials, and those have become our instructors. And it's not always the best result,
No, seriously. So to your point, do you think, because I think we're in a phase two where, people are just looking for a quick way to make money, right? And so if they see something is popular, they're like,
Mm.
okay, I'm going to take that course and I'm going to do that, or I'm going to just, go online, order this packet and do this. Do you think when it comes to permanent makeup, that it should be, not it should be, but uh, the preference should be with an actual like artist, like someone who
yeah,
is in the game, who has a history of some type of art, behind
yeah.
them,
I think
skill in
Dominique
art.
was saying, yeah. I think what she said was very accurate about that when she was researching someone to do it on her. And, with her being an artist herself, she was looking for someone who could give her the best result in a way that she would do it herself. But even if you're just a novice and you're looking for a professional, you really need to do your due diligence and do your research. It's no different if you were looking for a doctor to perform, plastic surgery or something. It's like, look for, look at the history of that person who claims they're an artist or claims they're a professional. What do they have to back that up? Like, make sure the proof is in the pudding, because a lot of people can post, what we see what they post to be. Estimate.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, but who are they really? Because it's easy to hide behind a shell of an expert when you can just put up a bunch of pictures on Instagram and call yourself a professional. And, it's unfortunate, but you do have some people out here who are, artists in another fashion, scam artists,
Cool.
who
Listen,
are just all
I
about
mean,
making
if we're
the quick
talking about the
dollar.
truth, I mean,
Yeah, like, let's keep it 100, because I've 20 plus years in this game, and I put in the work, and it's unfortunate when someone else can come and haven't doesn't have anything behind their belt to prove, their worth in the industry. But just because they have 100,000 or 200,000 followers, people think that they're an expert,
They're
and that
legitimized,
doesn't
yeah.
that does not an expert make. you know.
Thank you for saying that, because the amount of followers will have people really tricked and fooled. Like, I know people
Absolutely.
who would prefer to go to someone who has 250K and followers. Their
Mm-hmm.
pictures are just of them, their makeup on their faces. They're not even seeing how they're doing makeup on other people. And it's just
You're
like,
right.
oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this person, and there's like, we don't half the time it's filtered out. So yeah, I think that's so important.
Yeah, so
Or
that's
they
why I say
purchase their
it's
followers.
exactly. So that's why I said it's important. Do your
Very
due
true.
diligence, do your research, because to me, the riskiest factor in getting permanent makeup is the artistry. Make sure that you don't have a shoddy artist, or a shady artist,
Right,
because
doing some shady
that's the
shading.
biggest risk. Yeah. But I think that also the word permanent is misconstrued a lot when you
Mhm.
talk about permanent makeup. What makes it permanent? Because it's usually not permanent in the sense that it's going to last forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. It right. It permanent just means that it's going to last more than a month or more than a couple of weeks or whatever. So it's because especially like with microblading, you're doing a tattooing procedure that the coloring is getting under the skin, so that's what makes it permanent. But that too
Right.
does fade, so it's not exactly
Hmm.
permanent. You do have to get it touched up, you do have to get
Every
it
so
redone
often.
every so often. So I think sometimes the word permanent can turn people away from wanting to try it, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be forever, but it really isn't. So I think
Well,
sometimes people
let me tell you what
go ahead.
keeps me away from trying permanent makeup or semi-permanent makeup. It is the maintenance. And
Yeah.
Renee, you can probably attest to this, since you do have your eyebrows done, and I don't know if any of you ladies had your eyelashes done, but once you look that good and you don't really have to try like to do anything, it's
Yes.
like, I
Right.
want to continue to do this. And so it's the constantly getting your
It's the
lashes filled
hook.
in and spending that money and getting your brows done. So how do you ladies feel about like the personally for yourself, like if you were to get it done or you had it done, the maintenance part, like the financial maintenance part of keeping it, because now you just love it.
So I love that question. I love all your questions, by the way. So I think once I decide I want it, I'm a Libra, so it takes a lot to make a decision. But when we make it, it's
Hmm.
set. So for me, it's my relationship with the service and my money. So I tell myself I'm
Mm.
worthy of the experience regardless of the cost. And I trust that I'm going to do the research and make the sound decision for what's best for me. So with the brows, I'm in California in the Bay Area, okay? So it was about, I think, 500 or something like that to have them initially done. My touch up may be
Hmm.
around 200. That's not a big deal
Hmm.
to afford me. And that's every 18 months to 24 months. I may or may
Okay.
not do it when that time comes around. I did want to
Right.
explore it. I don't need it. I just chose to experiment. Now, if it's someone who really feel like they can't learn how to make up, can't learn how to make up, can't learn how to do
But
makeup,
that's
or they're
true.
not willing if they're not willing
Right.
to learn and they want it to be an afterthought, make sure it's a part of your budget. Because what happens when
Hmm.
that time comes and now you can't afford it, and now your
Right.
view towards self is altered because you can't have that look. I never will make a decision, even for beauty, if cost is an issue, and it wasn't for the ombre brow. So they're here to stay for now. I'll assess in about a year from now if I
By
want to
far.
do it again, but I don't need to. That's the thing.
Right.
I chose to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost
I think that's a
definitely.
very good point, because it's like even when you're purchasing a car,
Hmm.
it's like there's going to be maintenance associated with that car, right? So
Hmm.
just because you go out and get the Mercedes, I'll use that as an example, like. But what if you can't afford the maintenance on that Mercedes now? You know what I mean? That's a
Because
problem.
the
So
Mercedes got a
when
different type of gas
yeah, so different gas,
and
different
T-Max.
oil changes are different. Everything hits
Way
different when you're
different.
getting a luxury car. So I think these are in fact, luxury services. So it's like, and I consider it a luxury service because, like Dominique said, you do have maintenance affiliated with that. Now you have to maintain this. And also, you can become hooked, because, like you said, it's like as soon as you see yourself with these lash extensions or you see yourself with these brows that look amazing, you want to keep that up. I mean, I have clients who are hooked on getting ace, like they want it. As soon as
I
they
like
see
that.
themselves looking a certain way, I'm like, and so they'll sit down. I'm like, where you going today? Oh, girl, just to dinner. I'm like, what? Like, okay. But it's just like, they want to keep looking like that. So who am I to stop them? But it's like, but it's still, it is a thing that you have to think about when you're going into these type of luxury services. Like, am I going to be able to maintain it? Am I going to be able to keep up the maintenance on it? Do I want to put forth the effort? It may not even be the cost that is the problem for you. It may just be, then is it going to look crazy? Are you going to be, so think about these things before you go into.
Like the lashes, because I know concentrating on brows, but with the lashes, like you have to get those done every 3 weeks, just about. And
Yeah,
depending on who you go to, it takes about an hour, 2 hours, and you have to make time for that. And so
that's
I
right.
notice a lot of my clients who do get their lashes done, it's like, oh, because they might have an artist that lives 30 minutes away, but in Atlanta, that might be an hour with traffic. And so they're like, oh,
Right.
they're thinking about the drive there. Then they have to sit there for 2 hours and then the drive back. And they're just like, oh, I can't keep this up for real, for real. So maybe I'll just go whenever I have a special occasion or when I'm like traveling. And so it could be costly, but it also could be like take up a lot of, time itself with those. Now, have you ladies thought about getting any other than brows, or what are some other permanent makeup things you might try to get?
We're both like, nope.
Nothing for me.
No.
I just
No
feel like,
confession.
like for instance, with permanent eyeliner, why take the risk of, someone using a needle in such a
Mm.
sensitive area like your eye, running the risk of, what if they make a mistake, or what if, you get an infection in the eye? The eye is such a sensitive area already, and we're already doing so much to our eyes with lashes, mascara, eyeshadow, all these things, and then you want to add permanent eyeliner. To me, it's not worth the risk, because the fact of the matter is, putting on eyeliner, applying eyeliner takes how long? A few seconds.
A couple
Yes.
seconds.
So even if you're not an
But people
artist,
like, well, it doesn't run. It's just like, I
yeah, I
can do
know,
whatever with
but
it.
they have so many products now that,
Hmm.
waterproof. I don't want to name drop, but I have my favorite brand of eyeliner, and that stuff stays on 24/7, just like the name implies. And so there's so many products out
Ah.
there that I just feel like it's not worth it to run the risk of, getting something like permanent eyeliner
How
done.
often do
It's just
you ladies even come across someone who has permanent eyeliner?
Oh,
All the
very
time.
rarely. Like I don't come across that many people with permanent eyeliner. I will say some of my Caucasian clients, they
I was
I
gonna say
have
that.
quite a yeah, I've had quite a few of them who have permanent eyeliner. And I don't know if it was just like how brows are trending now, but back in the day, I think that permanent eyeliner was definitely trending, and a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon. Now people are doing lip blushing, where they're getting
Hmm. I was
semi-permanent
just gonna ask
lipstick.
about that.
Um, yeah, there's just I just feel like those things are, just unnecessary in my opinion, because it doesn't take that long to do that. Like, if it was something that took a long time to do every morning, like that's probably why I'm more on the side of eyebrows, because I could see that that's a problem for a lot of people. I've experienced it in my profession, where a lot of my clients really seriously struggle with applying their own eyebrows and filling in their own eyebrows to make them look nice and neat. And that does take some skill, right? So I could see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, putting on lipstick, Like, come on.
But no, but the thing is, so that was my confession. I did look into I got my lash tinted one time.
Hmm.
It's supposed to last 7 to 8 weeks, but I didn't really see too much of a difference. But
Oh
it
wow.
was supposed to, it's like a curl, and they just made it. It was cute for a second. So there was this other service about getting your lips. I guess it was to add a little color because sometimes if
Yeah.
your lips gets a little darker, even for like
Yeah.
smokers, whoever like darker lips, or let's say you just naturally have darker lips and you just want a little bit more of a peachy, ready, tone in there. So I actually considered that because I was like, oh, and maybe it can like plump my lips up a little bit, make me look like I have a little bit more Renee lips going on here with the red, a little bit more plump. But I also get really nervous about, yes, the risks that are associated with it, that this is because sometimes Instagram, Facebook will just bombard you if you because we're talking about this right now. We're going to see a couple of ads about this,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
and it's always somebody new popping up with this new service, and it's just like, oh, I want to do that. But then you get really nervous about it. But Renee, is there anything that you might consider?
So, well, first I'll say I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Again, a lot of people do a lot of things. Nothing is foreign. I mean, my nail
Mm-hmm.
tech had, I forgot what it's called. Like, I'm not sure if it's Botox or a filler, but where it kind of like lifts the lip here. I'm trying to do it. It gives you a
Oh
pouty
wow.
lip like that.
Along
Many
with
do
that.
so. Yeah, I have friends who had, Botox fillers here, size their nose down, do their chin. It is like a norm. And sometimes I can look at
Yeah.
people and tell they had something done. Sometimes I have no
Yes.
clue. I'm 41 and I feel really good about my skin and my features and everything. Like some people think my lips are done. They're not. Thank you, mommy and daddy. But I will say this, if ever I was to consider anything, I believe that you have to know who is supposed to be doing it. Should it be a doctor? Should it be an actual MD? Should it be a licensed
Yes.
esthetician? Should it be a medical esthetician? So I have a friend who probably paid maybe 4 or 5K for fillers in under like on the cheekbone here and her chin. But I also know somebody who done my nails before who went to a friend who paid a couple of hundred. You can see the difference. I always say
Mm-hmm.
if you, it's so huge. If you're going to research, know who, what level of person should, by level I mean professional experience, license, education. And I
Exactly.
think, like I know Toni, you mentioned you're like 20 plus years experience in the beauty industry, so you're an educator too. But
Yes.
when we look at YouTube or Instagram, yes, there are educators, but today's day and age is let me see the image, let me get an example, let me do it, versus let me
Mm.
teach someone how to do this for their face,
Yes.
not looking at YouTube and I'm teaching you how to do lips, but your lips aren't my shape. You're not going to get the result. So when people don't choose, when the beauty education is shifted and it's more of do a look that I did by watching my video, then yes, people
Yeah.
are more motivated to let me just go pay somebody to get it done permanently because I'm trying and I can't do it. So I think I answered
Right.
the question. I wouldn't do anything else, but if I was to consider, definitely has to be the best of the best, professional, licensed. We just can't be
Yes.
somebody down the street with 200,000 followers because their photos are cute.
Right.
With
No. And I
respect to
and I think
anyone in
that
that
was
case.
I think this has been the message so far. It's like if you're going to do it, make sure you find someone that is supposed to be doing that is licensed, that is, an artist, and that you've seen their work, their real work, right? So that goes into I want to ask you ladies, how because you guys have both been in this makeup game for some time now, right? So Toni, you
Yes.
established you're 20 years in. Renee, how long have you been in the makeup game?
I'm going to give myself 15 years because I primarily got more into skincare the last 10 years. But the years
Okay.
before, I kind of moved between bridal and photo shoots and freelance a lot. So even though I started painting since I was a little young kid, I'm going to leave it at 15 years professionally. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So with that being said, how has permanent makeup shifted within the past 20 years, 15,
Ooh.
20 years? With
Well,
everything,
one.
with how it's advertised, who the people who want it, how it's done, like how do you think it's shifted within the past 15, 20 years?
Well,
And
one thing that
Renee,
I've
you go
noticed.
first. Oh,
Oh, okay. You want me to
Oh.
go first?
no, go. Just because I'm like, oh wait, I saw her eyes.
Well, I'll be short then. I would just say social media information has made it more transparent. Everyone can see it. So everyone is being sold to, and now they're given thought. Before you couldn't, it was something we didn't talk about. You just got it done if you wanted it. And it wasn't, hey, you should go and try to get some permanent makeup because we put this ad in your face. So it went from being a thing that some people knew about and did to something that maybe, I would say here in the Bay Area, maybe 1 in 5 people will have some kind of permanent work done.
Okay. And that's what I would say the shift has been, as I was speaking about a little bit earlier, that I used to mostly see like the permanent eyeliner on my Caucasian clients. And I think a lot of that had to do with what Renee, and I don't know why I kept calling you Dominique. I'm so sorry. But what Renee said, was that now the shift is that people have more access to seeing these things, via social media. So the ads are everywhere and everybody knows about it. Whereas before, I think it was more of an kind of something people did, at their plastic surgeon's office, or, when maybe they went in for a little nip tuck and then they got offered some permanent eyeliner or something like that, but now it's like, I don't want to say random people are doing it, but it's like there's so many people doing it because they have access to just take a class from somebody and, now call themselves a professional at it. So it's like there's way more experts out there doing it, and then there's way more people getting it done, or the thought is being put into your head to maybe it's almost like a little brainwashing that happens on social media. It's like you're scrolling, you're like, maybe I do need my brows done. Maybe I do need my lips done. Maybe I do need a little permanent eyeliner, because after a while it's like you keep seeing it so much that you jump on the trend yourself, and you start questioning it, like, should I get my brows microbladed? You know what I mean? So I think that that's just the world we live in now, and so therefore beauty trends have become, they've changed more because now you have people looking like clones of each other. Sometimes you can't tell one person from the next. When you see people, you're like, wait, who is that again? Because everybody's looking the same. Everybody's doing the same 1-2 step, and it's like, that's the thing
Everybody wants to
miss
look like a
about
filter.
Exactly.
That's what everybody wants to look like, a filter. And so, like, that is changing. That is a huge part I think in this surge of like permanent makeup. It's like we put these filters on, and I have to catch myself sometimes because I put a filter on when I'm doing my IG stories, and then I don't want to show my real face because I'm like, oh, the filters look so good, and I don't have to really try, right?
That's what scares me about it. It's because it's like everybody wants to become a clone of each other, and where's the originality? Back in the day when you used to, like I said earlier, when you would see makeup artists doing things, you didn't know how they did it, and so it was like a mystery, and that was one of the elements that made me want to get into this business. And then that's why I shied away for so many years against doing YouTube videos and things like that. I'm still very shy. Like, I rarely go live, like, I know I should do that kind of stuff more, but it's like, I don't know. It's something about it is like, I still haven't gotten into that all the way yet, because
when I see people without the filter and with just straight camera, I'm like, I have so much respect for you. Like, I know it's not it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really is, because you can really just rely on that. And then now you see yourself so much. You see yourself just in this filter. So when you look at yourself for real, you're like, you're pointing out the things that need adjusting, right? And so maybe, like you said, they are going to, well, let me see how I can get this permanent on my face instead of me actually trying to have to do it, because I could just click a button and it's already there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think people have to manage their expectations. They have to manage their expectations with learning. Some will ask, what products did you use? How did you do it? But you cannot just take products and techniques without the artistry, the skill, the time, the practice, the work. So I think, like you're saying, Toni, some people, I don't really like showing before and after to prove that you're an artist or share the magic. Like, for example, we're talking about
Right.
permanent artistry, but if I was body painting live, I like to freehand. I don't like to airbrush live. I don't want to show. It is not about holding certain technique to yourself. It's more of maybe you
Yeah.
need to experience the final product, or maybe it's not
Yeah.
proving you're a professional. You're embracing whatever that product or that service is. And I think the before and after kind of came about to prove, hey, what I can do,
Mm-hmm.
so please hire me. But if you go and have your face done by someone, like the same young lady who did my brows, professional, excellent, beautiful space, I don't even have to look at her Instagram. My experience firsthand makes me want to go back again. So every artist,
That's
I think,
Mm-hmm.
is not going to show up the same way. I If you go
that's
to a gallery, there isn't a blank canvas, and then the work.
yes,
Sometimes we have
that's
to be
right.
comfortable with accepting what it looks like. And even though we all can learn, I think that every woman and man, regardless of what gender they associate with, should have the joy of knowing how to do their own makeup, their own skincare. And you can learn, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that you're going to be that pro. Sometimes you have to hire the person to do it. And
That's
sometimes be committed to learning. You can save your health, save your money, and it's an enjoyable experience, you know?
Yeah,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
appreciate the journey. And I tell my clients all the time, like,
Yeah.
I didn't start off doing my brows like this. Like they were pencil at first. There was maybe too much highlighter underneath. Like it took time to kind of,
Absolutely.
cultivate that and learn that skill because, even though it did come a little naturally to me. Like things have changed throughout the years, techniques have changed throughout the years, and you have to kind of adjust and learn and be okay with it not
Mhm.
looking crazy at first, but at least you're trying. But you have to
You have to
continue
trust
trying.
the
I tell them all the
process.
time when I yes, and when I
Yes.
do my one-on-one with my clients, and they're like, "Oh, I want to learn a 20-minute face." And I'm like, okay, but this is not going to take you 20 minutes at first. It's going to take you an hour and it's going to take you maybe 45 minutes the next time. The goal is to practice so it can get down to that 20-minute face that you want to do. But so many people they want to learn so quickly and get it done so quickly that if the first time or the second time they don't get it right, they get frustrated, and so
Yeah.
they go to
Well,
like,
that's
okay, well,
because
let me
we live
just
in a quick here society.
right.
We live in an instant world. Everything has to be
Mhm.
instant, and in 20 seconds or less. And so
Mhm.
it's like it's just the world that we live in. Everybody is looking for instant gratification, and
Yeah.
not necessarily wanting to put in the work, which is why I think permanent makeup is so popular these days because um, anytime you can save people having to put in the work, then people are all in. It's like I don't have
And
to
that's
do it
even to
myself.
go
Okay,
towards
cool.
and that's even to like, we see a lot of BBLs these days, right?
Yes,
And
Ooh.
so to each his own, to each his
racing it.
own. However, like sometimes you can just put in the work and you can probably get it to, a nice plump, but you might not be the whole BBL version, but the whole point, everybody does, like you said, everybody wants to look the same. So with that being said, because BBLs were not a thing 10, 20 years ago. It wasn't like you saw it every you know swipe. So with that
Yeah.
being said, how far do you think we're going to take permanent makeup?
Ooh, I
Mm.
Like
think
let's say
Full
10,
I
20
think
faces.
years
people
from
will
now.
keep pushing the envelope. If they could get a whole ace face that can just
Stay on.
uh, right, like I think people will keep pushing the
Ooh.
envelope. I don't know how far. I can't predict that, but I do feel like people will keep pushing the envelope until we are in that
Mm-hmm.
click here Jetson mode of applying our makeup with the touch of a button. you know. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that people will keep pushing the envelope. Um, am I with it all? Not all of it, but some things I might be, so because it does make things simpler. And I'm all about helping a woman to simplify her makeup routine, as it is like, but certain things I just feel like you do not have to run the risk of doing just for the sake of cosmetics, and vanity. So I just think that also it takes the fun. Like I saw something the other day where there was a little girl, like maybe 2 years old, and they had this little bun type of thing, headband thing, and it was like a little wig for babies. And I'm like, is this going too far? Because it's like, isn't that part of a mother bonding with her child, like combing her hair?
Not a wig,
Are
permanent
we
wig for the
creating?
baby.
Yeah, are we really doing that now? Like a wig for the
Yeah.
baby? So some things I just feel like, what Renee was saying, she loves doing her own makeup because it's a part of like what she loves to do. Everybody doesn't love that though. Like everybody doesn't love to comb their own hair or do their own makeup.
Hmm.
So I think that is why they seek these permanent makeup techniques as an alternative sometimes. Um, but so to each his own. I mean, but like I said, what is really permanent? Are we even permanent? None of us are here permanently. So, you know,
Not at all, but I do feel like, and Renee, please let me know too. I feel like it's gonna get to the point where they're gonna have a semi-permanent foundation, something you can rub on your face, let it sit, and under a
Ooh,
heat lamp or something, and then it kind of like you have it like a spray tan almost, but found. I
yeah,
feel like the sky is the limit within the next 10 to 20 years. It's gonna be like so easy to do. The lipstick, we already
yeah,
have the lip. You might be able to actually get tattooed eyeshadow, like a permanent type of eyeshadow
yeah,
that you can wear,
yeah,
a semi-permanent that you can probably wear for, a week or so. So
yeah. It
I
just
don't know. We're
it
gonna
makes me
see.
think about like 3D printing. You know how there's 3D printed for nails,
Oh,
there's 3D printed for a lot. There's 3D printed cosmetics. So the thing that
mm-hmm.
I can see the 3D printing and other things for the majority of the face. The thing that scares me about the skin as an esthetician that
Yeah.
your skin is going to shed off your dead skin cells like we say every 28 days, but the older you get, slow down after 30, 35, 40, depending on your genetic makeup and break and background. But after your age between 30 to 40ish, your skin cell turnover is a little bit slower, right? So if your skin is supposed to be releasing these dead skin cells and shedding, but you have something there, is that item, product, or whatever that pigment may be blocking your skin from being hydrated? Is it an inhibitor to where you really can't potentially wear sunscreen or shea butter for sun
Mm-hmm.
protection or environmental protection? Will your skin be able not to, receive any hydration products? So it would be very scary to see a whole 3D face or something you can put on, but when it comes to the skin itself, it nearly sounds like the most dangerous thing ever. I do know that if we keep, you mentioned pushing things further and further, it's kind of like, why not? And I'll be honest, I just thought about this, so I want to share it. Part of the reason I even gave thought to the ombre brows, like I said, I'm 41. I feel young, I feel vibrant, but I noticed the hair growth wasn't as rapid. So I was like, oh, let me
Mm-hmm.
get some little hairs in there. I'm not sure of the why. I'm doing my own research to understand why, but even the pigment that goes with the brows, it increased my hair growth. There's nothing that
Mm.
at this point in life, my hair growth should not be happening in here. I mean, there's certain things you can use, but in understand it kind of sold to me like the only reason I would have wanted to is for the increased hair growth in that specific area. So I've noticed a lot of people who consider permanent have been in the age group where things start shifting with your collagen and your elastin and your hair, and people want to maintain their youthful self but not really change how they look on a daily basis too much. So permanent makeup or semi-permanent, as we said, can have that ideal customer who is shifting in their appearance, which happens naturally with age, and people will give thought to it. I don't mean they may act on it, but some things may work and
Oh,
some
I
things you
think
probably need to stay away from.
I
I
do
think
have a
it's
question.
it's. Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, so it kind of made me
This is the
think
voice.
about the voice, right? So it just kind of
Right,
made me
the
think
voice.
how Renee's point that how guys do when they get older and their hair starts to fall out, right, and they get hair replacement.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of along those same lines, and I guess women have traditionally haven't been doing that, but as you get older, as their hair start to thin, or it's like Renee says, certain it doesn't grow back in certain area. It kind of makes some sense that maybe semi-permanent would be something further. In addition to maybe just the years you start having pimples in places that you didn't used to have pimples, or spots that you didn't have places that you used to have spots.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it may just be some aging um, aspects that you may have to kind of contend with as far as like deciding if you want to do permanent or semi-permanent makeup. What's just your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I would say considering the risk too, because when we mentioned, like for example, I'll be honest again, like I love my lip shape and fullness. And at one time I was like, oh, these lines in my lip, duh, that is going to happen. So am I drinking water? Am I hydrating? So for example, I
Mm-hmm.
remember a young lady was like, oh, I know somebody who does lip fillers. And I'm like, let me get some hyaluronic acid. Let me drink some water. Let me exfoliate. Let me use a night mask. And I got those results without paying thousands and putting myself in harm's way for the result. Again, I don't associate any guilt or shame with anyone who considers it. But I think that beauty is an extension of who we are. However, when we're touching our largest organ, our skin, and anything may hit our bloodstream or our skin or whatnot, like you have to be mindful. I won't get into the details, but I saw something on Twitter a couple of days ago with a young Black lady who had a chemical peel and some dermaplaning, which I don't think is even legal here in California, but her skin burned. The person didn't have their license been expired. We can't trust people because they are cute and nice. It's no different than we wouldn't go to the gynecologist and say, all right, examine me. You know they're a doctor. You know they're trained. You feel
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy and safe. Beauty is fun, but I know we have the responsibility to ask those questions, see the license up, make sure it's a clean space, and be comfortable, educated, and informed before doing anything to the face, skin, hair, or body, especially if it's semi-permanent. The risk tends to really jack you up if they hit you.
No, it definitely does. I feel that I would like to believe a lot of people do research on the artist, on the procedure, like side effects, any of the risks. However, I do think a lot of people are just wanting the instant gratification. So, just back to the your lips, right? So there are people that are not going to wait for that hyaluronic acid to work, for the mask to work, or they just not going to be consistent with that. And that
Yeah.
takes discipline, right? And consistency. And I think we live in this age where everything is like, I want this in like 7 seconds. I want this in 30 seconds. Like our attention spans are, not as they once were. And everything is about instant gratification. So I I think we also need, in addition to it, just to go along with what you were saying, we need to see more education around it. um, and just not just like, okay, come get your
Yes.
certification, or yes, we do this and we
Mm-mm.
do that, but like, let's really talk about this skin and why you might need to understand how you can help your skin without first doing this. Let's focus on this. I think there's education is just not out there like it used to be because it takes time. Um,
Right.
Yes, a commitment.
and commitment. And I think that is something that we definitely would need more of intentionally in the future, because everything's
And
going to
I'll say the
go so quick.
consultations too. Oh, sorry
Oh
about
yeah,
that. I
consultation.
said consultation. Do you know I had a friend? I used to do her makeup. And I mean, everything we went over, the products, the technique, everything. I'm like, what is up with your skin? Why it keeps breaking down these. She was cleaning her makeup brushes with bleach. And it took time to
Ugh.
be able to, and I was like, why? This is probably 10 years ago in our 30s. And I was like, what made you think, whoa, it cleans stuff, but I washed it out. And I gave it the hug. But what I realized is that it's beyond, let me teach you how to do this. Let me give you the right products and tools and techniques. Lifestyle plays a role. Like you mentioned, you may not have the time
No.
or the commitment or the aftercare. Like ombre brows, you have to not be in the sun for 10 or 14 days. Are people going to listen to that? They can't get wet.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go to the sauna and work out? So it's a lifestyle shift, and the education. It's bigger than being cute. Being cute is amazing and it's fun, and we all have our own way of doing it. But I think the
Right.
preparation for the service and the education and the consultation will really help people be satisfied, be prepared for whatever the procedure is, and then at the aftercare, they know they're consistent. The young lady who did my brows, the form I filled out, helped her to decide if I could even be a client. It wasn't come on down and get your brows done. It was, what are you using? How often are you doing this? She was able to assess if I would be a good client. Some are hungry or in a position for funds. No disrespect to that. But if you're motivated by the dollar, you won't be motivated for the well-being of the client. So
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
yeah.
And how many people do you guys think are the opposite? Like they're not turning away somebody who should not be get the ombre brows or the lashes, but because they want to get it, I'll go ahead and take your money. Do you think there are a lot more artists like out there like that versus what Renee just said? You just said Renee?
Do me a
Well,
favor,
it's hard
Tony.
to.
Center
Yeah,
yourself a little bit. I'm sorry.
I know my phone died, so I have to hold it now because my cord won't reach if I put it back on the mount.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
I'm just trying to hold it. Is that better?
We'll come to the opposite.
Other
Well,
side.
don't just
This side or this
The
side?
opposite.
no the
The
other
opposite.
way.
Other way.
This way. That way?
Angle.
No,
The
scoot
angle.
over because we see one eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
There you
almost
go.
there. Yeah. Wait,
Other
no.
way.
It's not working.
Right there.
Oh, almost
Wait.
there.
Oh, right here?
Right there. Yes.
All right, cool. Ciao. I don't know. We took so long doing the technical part setup that my phone died.
No, it's all good. Well, just before we just wrap it up, well, I want to say thank
Okay.
you guys, first of all, for so much for joining this discussion. I think, you know, it's very important that, again, you are taking this very seriously when it comes to permanent makeup. I think, like we all agree, permanent makeup is fun. It's it's unique. It's creative. It's getting better and better as the years go on. But it's so important to also have that education with it, to know the risks with it, and just to be really honest with yourself. Like, you know, like you said, Renee, are you going to take care of the aftercare with it as well as a consumer, but then also as a provider, providing the education and that the consultations and things like that to make sure that we are servicing the right people the right way, right? So just
I
any
love that.
messages. I'm sorry. Oh
No,
yes,
I
if
love how
any
you said that,
going messages
servicing
that you
the
guys.
right people. But I'm probably going to tweet you and quote you on that later. Servicing the right people the
Oh
right way
yeah.
at the right time. Woo! Sometimes you
Amen.
could have had a chemical peel on yesterday. Let me tell you, I was at a nail shop. I never get my brows done there. But I was playing around. I said, hey, I need to get it cleaned up underneath here. But I had a facial this morning. Oh, okay, see so-and-so. I said, no. I won't see anyone because I just had a facial and I had a peel. I love peels, by the way. So I can't. So the last thing I will share is if you decide you want to do so, don't associate guilt with it. Women, men have the right to choose what we want to do to our bodies, our faces, how we want to look. But I do encourage everyone to do the research beyond a Google search and friends and instant messaging people on Instagram to see who they went to, but maybe having those consultations with professionals to learn more and if it's best for you. Then you're going to do it, prepare yourself to be committed and disciplined, as it will shift your life and your budget. But if you can see yourself beautiful when you first wake up or when you pop with some red lips or if your brows are permanently done or not, then you have won. Beauty is beyond how we look, but how we feel about ourselves. So harness that however you choose. Those are my final words. Woo!
Beautiful. Thank you
Yes.
for sharing. That was powerful. I'm like, okay, wait
That
a
was
minute.
awesome. Right.
I felt that.
Yes.
Miss Toni, give us your last thoughts.
I think to piggyback off of what Renee said, do you, like however you feel beautiful, what makes you feel beautiful, that's cool, but make sure that starts with you, that you feel good about you on the inside before you try to work on the outside, because I think those things got to match. You know what I mean? Like you can do all the permanent brows and eyeliner and lips, plump them, do whatever you want. But if you still don't feel good about you on the inside, at the end of the day, none of that matters, because beauty does come from within. And I think that we need to do a lot more soul searching on what's driving us to want to get these things done. Sometimes I even have to ask myself, like, what's making me want to do something before I do it? I ask myself those questions, like, what's my drive? Like, what's my why? So ask yourself, what is your why first before you do these things?
Yes, beautifully said. Thank you, ladies, so much again for joining us on BLN Live. Please also share your Instagram, how people can, get the best way people get in contact with you. Yes, please go ahead.
So you can
You
find
go
me
first,
on
Toni.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Ace Faces, also at Toni Acey, and you can also find me online, of course, at www.acefaces.com.
Awesome. Hi, you can follow me at Renee M. Hamilton on Instagram and Twitter. That's Renee M. Hamilton. And you'll be able to see a link to my art Instagram as well. And my website where my fine art is available is www.rhfineartgallery.com. But just go to Renee M. Hamilton on Instagram and you'll see all of that ways how to connect with me. Yay.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, and again, my name is Dominique, aka Siobhan. IG is So Siobhan. And yeah, everything is there. Website www.sosiobhan.com. Check me out. And with that being said, thank you, ladies, so much. And
Thank
yeah, I
you.
hope you guys enjoy our discussion.